afternoon, we are going to begin the Assessment and Accountability monthly call for December. We will be talking through important items from the month-by-month checklist, some accountability reminders and updates, and then jump into each of our assessment administrations and follow up with support and communication. Our month-by-month checklist is located in the assessment library. As a reminder, this is a checklist of all the tasks needed to be completed by test coordinators or other personnel at the district and school level that impact assessment and accountability. And it is broken down by month and lets you know by each assessment which of those tasks it applies to. So I just wanted to highlight a few of them, although you should continue to reference the full version of this. But for December, some of the important things include ensuring that your district has downloaded the AIR secure browser for the English language proficiency test. The last day to have this completed is December 31st. You also want to make sure that you are verifying and uploading student information for ACT and completing any readiness checks for ACT online. For January, a few of the highlights include the monthly assessment and accountability call, the deadline of January 25th to request ACT approved accommodations on the ACT TAA, the Test Accessibility and Accommodation System. So we want to make sure that approved accommodations are submitted for those that are eligible. Also, ensuring that students and teachers that are taking or administering the LEAP Connect and ELPT are using the online tools trainings to become familiar with the system. And then managing students for ELPT testing and TIE will also open. Delivering test security, preparation, and administration training for those two assessments should also be taking place in January or earlier. The spring data submission of class schedules for high school LEAP 2025 testers, which is TSDL, will begin in January. Creating test sessions and assigning students to test sessions for ACT online, and then beginning the test setup and test administrator management process for LEAP Connect and Law 1 in eDirect. Also, we have selected schools that are participating in NAEP, and the NAEP window will begin in January. Moving on to accountability, the school performance scores and early childhood performance profiles were released in November through the Louisiana School Finder. The information here is helpful for district personnel and school personnel who are looking at data, but also communicating this with families. Listed here are the actions for school systems and child care centers to take through April regarding the release of the school performance scores or the profile. The department will update monthly the About Our School section in School Finder to reflect any changes made in sponsor site at the end of each prior month. So referencing the Louisiana School Finder data guide will help those to get additional information on data sources that are working with this information. The Principal and Superintendent Secure Portal, which is louisianaschools.info, is an interactive data exploration tool launched a year ago in December 2017 to support school systems and school leaders to understand their academic, early childhood, and workforce talent data. The portal's been updated with the 2017-2018 K-12 and early childhood accountability results. For new principals and school system leaders who need access to the portal, a user request form is located on the Data Management FTP, and the file name is listed here. The Data Management FTP coordinators need to retrieve the file and give this to the superintendents for updating. So once the updates are completed, the file will be renamed using the guidelines below and then added back to the data management FTP. After that has happened, superintendents will need to send an email to systemsupport@la.gov confirming those requests. The permissions will be updated bi-weekly, and then beginning next month, district security coordinators will have authority to directly designate secure portal users. As required in Bulletin 111, the department is recommending revisions to the ACT WorkKeys concordance table to reflect the changes to the WorkKeys assessment and scoring. The revisions reflected on this slide will be considered at the December BESI meeting for implementation, beginning with the 2018-2019 school performance scores. I apologize, the 2019-2020 school performance scores. And listed on this next slide are some accountability resources for reference. All right, moving into assessment administration, we have a few technology reminders for you all as you are planning and about to begin our LEAP Connect, LA1, and ELPT assessment windows. So as a reminder, we have our technology FAQ. This document is really for a technology facilitator at the district or school level, and these are all the questions in the categories listed on the screen that are received the most and give helpful information for troubleshooting. So this should be referenced in the event there is an issue, or maybe you're training a new staff member for this project. And both of these are located in our assessment library under the technology section. We also have another document that is more for a school test coordinator or a principal or a test administrator. It is not as technical, but it is some troubleshooting tips that they can do at the school site before contacting a district supervisor. So this is helpful for a few reasons. One, it is more efficient for the schools to troubleshoot things before contacting you all. It also helps things move quicker. So if a district is receiving calls about technology issues, sometimes that will take longer than if the school test coordinator fixed the problem in the moment with the student. And so it gets kids testing quicker and back on track. So again, these are very simple things that could be easily handled within a testing room. And as always, our technical assistance protocol is shown here. We also have a one-pager of this if you choose to give this to your school test coordinators or other testing personnel. The contact information for DRC and for the LGOE assessment team is located here. As a reminder, beginning next school year in 2019-2020, all DRC assessments will move from the Testing Site Manager version 9.2 to the Central Office Testing Site Manager. This updated TSM is a powerful integrated software that allows users to easily install, configure, and manage their online testing environment from a central location. More information about how to install this will be discussed in webinars in January, but your technology directors at the district level have already been informed about this, and they will also receive training as well. Just to give you a few more details about the new TSM, we are really excited about this. We received a lot of feedback over the past couple of years and have worked with DRC to try to fix some of the concerns that districts had. So not only will it be through a central location, but it will streamline a lot of processes. It will also provide a flexible options for installation based on that testing site's needs. It also enhances content management, which means it allows sites to download only the content they need for testing. So previously, you would have to download all the content. Now it will just be specific to what that site needs, which will definitely help with processing and rolling out these assessments to computers at the schools. It also increases the scalability, so a larger number of concurrent testers per device will be in place using the new TSM. Students will access the content on the internal school system network. So this is new as well. It's more direct to the students' computers. And then the response caching will be replaced with a more enhanced response processing. So the TSM will no longer require a separate tool or monitoring of response transmission. And located here are technology resources for your reference. And we're going to go ahead and jump into test security. So prior to each administration, you all are delivering test security training to your school test coordinators, and then your school test coordinators must do the same thing for their staff. I do this with you all as well. So if you choose to use these slides or provide a resource to your school test coordinators, this next section of test security slides is in its own PowerPoint under the test security section of the assessment library. I'm just going to go over a few highlights of this. I know we've done this already this year, but we do have new people, and it's always great to hear it again. So on this slide is a list of possible testing irregularities. It is not a complete list. These are defined in Bulletin 118, some of them including administering tests that would give examinees an unfair or advantage or disadvantage, accessing test questions prior to testing, failing to account for secure test materials, failing to report a testing irregularity, reproducing or discussing all or part of any secure material. Violations of test security can result in the revocation of a teaching or leadership certificate. As far as testing irregularities go, it is any incident in test handling or administration that leads to a question regarding the security of the test or a question regarding the accuracy of the data. And so if anything like this happens, the process for reporting this is listed here. Again, the TA will contact the school test coordinator and then the district test coordinator, and then you all will reach out to us. When we talk about access, we're talking about handling materials, reading, reviewing, or analyzing test items or student responses before, during, or after testing. The only exception is when a test administrator is providing an accommodation in which they have to access this. So if a test administrator is transferring answers, that would be an exception because that is required per the child's accommodation plan. To help with access controls, district and school test coordinators should limit the amount of keys to the locked secure areas and ensure that all sort of pre-coding or sorting of materials is done in a central secure location. For Law 1 and Leap Connect, secure materials are student test tickets, scratch paper, the directions for administration, and any supporting documents. So Law 1 and Leap Connect is a little bit different because there are more secure materials for a test administrator than we have for our other assessments. So I would definitely remind your teams about this as well. So for secure materials, we are talking about anything that's a material that contains test items, student responses, or access that's restricted. So student booklets, answer documents, their login information to the computers, any resources that are provided that are secure with your initial shipment, so your directions for administration, etc. And then anything else that would have the student's response. So scratch paper, if a student has assistive technology that would have responses in it, that would also be secure as well. So some options for ensuring the proper accounting materials are listed here. I think most of you all have a pretty structured system in place as far as checking in and checking out procedures at the district and school level. Also monitoring of these processes during administration as well. For active monitoring, this means that the test administrators are actively engaged in observing students' behavior at all times during the administration of state assessments. So test administrators really have two jobs. They are to read the directions in the manual, and they are to actively monitor. So actively monitoring means the TA is moving about the testing area so that students can be seen from different viewpoints. They are not engaged in anything else other than this active monitoring. So they are not on a phone, they are not grading papers, they are not on a computer, they are totally engaged in moving about the room and monitoring students' behaviors during the test session. Test administrators should check to make sure that students are working where they're supposed to, but not long enough to get the gist of any item or response. This also means that test security must be maintained if they have a break. So if they are providing students with extended time or breaks, or they have a break in between two test sessions, interaction between students must be monitored to ensure test security. Also, test administrators that are testing with students with accommodations should ensure that they're receiving the proper accommodations at the proper time. Test administrators should not attempt to memorize questions from the directions for administration for Lead Connect. So for Law 1 and Lead Connect, test administrators are most likely reading aloud the questions to students. And so the test security here is a little bit different because every TA will have access to the test because it is a one-on-one administered test, and the interaction between teacher and student is very, very involved compared to our other assessments. So yes, test administrators should be reading these questions or using the computer to read aloud, helping students manipulate a mouse if they need to, enter their login information. They are also responsible for providing the materials at every question that are listed by those directions, so whether it's reference materials or manipulative. Students that have accommodations should be given to test administrators that are trained on how to administer the accommodation. Test administrators should know any child in their group that has accommodations and what they are. So they should receive a list of that. They should also receive a process of how you or the school test coordinator would like questions or issues to be sent to them. Moving on to our K-3 assessment. So as a reminder, we have several of you all that are involved with our K-2 accountability pilots, but for those who aren't, I just wanted to give you a quick update. We have 4 pilots happening this year in grades K-2. Class for kindergarten, the ELA and math curriculum implementation observation tools, a writing rubric for grades 1 and 2, and the second grade checkup for ELA and math. We have several feedback structures that are in place to get insight from school leaders, school administrators, school system leaders, and teachers that are participating in the pilot. We have sent a survey to collect feedback on the tools being piloted and the current instructional practices to those who are involved in the pilot. It only takes a few minutes to complete, but it is due on December 7th. We will also be hosting trainings in the next few months for those districts involved with the pilot, so be on the lookout for information. For LEAP 2025, the fall high school key dates are listed here. So as you know, the testing window has begun, which also means districts can order additional materials if needed. This is really specific to students who need Braille or a script for the sign language interpreter. The test ticket invalidations must be completed by the last day in the window, the 14th, along with any void notification forms that need to be sent to us. You will also be returning those accommodated materials by the 21st, and then any rescore requests, except for the Biology Leap 2025, are due to DRC by January 11th. They do not come to LDOE. They will go directly to DRC. As far as accountability coding, district and school test coordinators should wait to the end of the window to do this. So the last couple days in the window would be the correct time to start pulling students into a test session and applying those accountability codes. There are directions within our eDirect user guide on how to do this as well. This slide has information about the LEAP 2025 practice test, including resources and then the teacher and student access information. The practice test library houses all of our answer keys, paper-based test forms for grades 3 and 4, and accommodated forms and materials. The practice test guidance documents for each subject have been updated, and they are also in the practice test library. Please make sure that your schools get this information as well. In October, we hosted webinars to support teachers and content supervisors in incorporating the practice test into classroom instruction. Those slides and the recording are available in the practice test library. There were 2 of them, one for supervisors and district and school test coordinators, and then another one that was just for teachers and supervisors. We will have the same webinar one more time in January, and the information to attend is located on the slide. For ACT and work keys, these tasks are available to be handled now. They must be completed by the due dates on the screen. The 25th of January has several due dates to keep in mind. So requesting ACT approved accommodations and installing the Proctor Cash software and completing a mock administration if your district is choosing to do ACT online. ACT also added some dates to the schedule of events, which is linked here. It is located on the ACT state testing website. It's important to note that ACT has extended the window just a few days for schools who have yet to manage participation. So if you have not done this, please go to PA Next and complete this task as soon as possible. If it's not completed, then those schools will be marked as not participating in ACT and they will not receive any materials. There's also one final webinar for ACT test administration that ACT is hosting, and the link here is used to register. We are providing an ACT test administration on November 29th, and we recorded the webinar and posted the slides from the webinar. This is located in the assessment library. Again, this was hosted by LDOE, and so it goes through quite a few more details particular to Louisiana that are important for your school test coordinators to know. And located here are ACT and WorkKeys resources along with customer support information. For advanced placement, we wanted you all to be aware of advanced placement potential. This is a free tool that's annually updated and made available to schools in December. It correlates performance on the PSAT assessments to success on the AP exams. Test coordinators using the AP potential tool will receive access to test taker rosters as well as each student's probability of success on a specific AP exam. This should be considered as one of many tools used by schools to match students with courses to which they're prepared and ready for success. The PSAT And NMSQT is mostly connecting the preliminary SAT with the National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test. So 11th graders that take this are eligible for the scholarships as well as other honors. The school and district test coordinators will receive access codes to this as well, so be on the lookout for that resource. Moving on to Lead Connect in Law 1, as a reminder, ESSA requires states to ensure that only students with the most significant disabilities take the Lead Connect alternate assessment. So the department has released enhancements to SIR to help school systems verify that students meet the existing state participation criteria. So for any student who will participate in the 2019 Lead Connect alternate assessment, there must be qualifying cognitive and/or adaptive assessment results in SIR to verify eligibility by January 4th. These results are part of a formal special education evaluation and should already exist for students who may qualify for the alternate assessment. It's also important to note that students will not be able to participate in Lead Connect in spring 2019 unless this eligibility is verified. If school systems cannot verify that a student's eligible, then they will participate in our regular statewide assessments, LEAP 2025. Located here are key dates for Lead Connect in Law 1. The window is from February 4th through March 15th. Currently, we have our online tools training, student response checks, manuals, and user management that are available for test coordinators to use. Students and test session and management will open on January 2nd. The Lead Connect assessment guide has been updated to include some new resources, and it is now located in the assessment guidance library. The Lead Connect and Law 1 test coordinator manuals and test administration manuals are located in eDirect. As a reminder, for Lead Connect, we assess ELA and math in grades 3 through 8 and 11. And for Law 1, it is just science, and it is just grades 4, 8, and 11. Before we really dive into Lead Connect test administration reminders, please note that all of this information is in the manuals. I pulled this to highlight some important things that I hope you all highlight with your school test coordinators, but I would strongly encourage you to use these slides when developing your training and for your school test coordinators to use when training their staff as well. So again, all of this information is already in your manuals. They're already in eDirect. Just wanted to pull out some really important things just to remind you about, since it's been a year since we've done this. So Lead Connect is administered one-on-one. It is in the Insight platform that we use for our other assessments. There is a directions for test administration document specific to ELA and one specific to math, along with reference materials for every grade and every subject. This document is required. It must be used by test administrators to administer the test. Without the directions for test administration, the TA cannot administer the test to the student. So it's critical that the TA gets this prior to administering the test so that they can start on time and have everything that they need to do this. There are a few items in grades 3 and 4 that are foundational reading items, and only these two grades will have a option in eDirect to choose from verbal or a nonverbal form. If a student in grades 3 or 4 has a Braille accommodation, these items will be brailled and shipped in the shipment that you'll receive with your test material. So again, this is only for grades 3 and 4. So when school test coordinators are setting up test sessions for elementary schools with grades 3 and 4, they will need to place the student in a verbal or nonverbal form of the test. I strongly encourage a school test coordinator meet with the teacher of the student or pull their IEP to determine if the student is verbal or nonverbal. As a reminder for the administration of tasks, If after attempting at least 4, so you can do more than 4, but at least 4 tasks in a content area, so 4 for ELA and 4 for math, the student is unresponsive on all of those items, you can exit and close the test. The TA should be able to determine if the student is unresponsive because they're having a bad day or not in a good mood. They can try again another day. If the test administrator knows that is not the case and they are unresponsive, they should attempt at least 4 and they may choose to close the test. Also, last year, we did a survey at the end of our grades 3 to 8 ELA and Math Lead Connect. And this year, we will be doing it for 11th grade since we are adding that grade this school year. So there will be a survey at the end for the test administrator to complete and submit. And so this is helpful feedback for us on the experience of each TA and the instruction that's taking place in the classroom as well. Lead Connect was designed to be accessed by all students eligible for alternate assessment. So this chart summarizes the accommodations needed for Lead Connect versus the built-in support. So as you'll notice, the majority of accommodations are not accommodations for this test. It is how the test was built. It is designed this way, and it is how it should be administered. So for example, tests aren't allowed, untimed tests, individual testing, answers recorded. All of these things are just built in. They are not accommodations for Lead Connect. The ones that are calculator, Braille, and assistive technology. So those things must be listed on the student's IEP. One key administrative document that I keep referring to is our directions for test administration. This is a lengthy document. It is the exact wording of the items that the TA is reading aloud to students. The TA may choose to use the text-to-speech on the computer, but they may also choose to use the directions for test administration script. Regardless of whether they use the script or not, the DTA still provides actions the TA must take for each item of the test. Because of the high involvement of the test administrator when administering the Lead Connect, school test coordinators must arrange time up to 2 weeks prior to administration for the test administrator to go through the DTA and plan for each item. So if the test session is scheduled for the first day in the window, February 4th, and up to 2 weeks prior to that, school test coordinators can allow the teachers to come in, review the directions, and make sure everything is prepared prior to administering the test. If you're testing later in the window, it should be 2 weeks prior to that date. So it is 2 weeks prior to the day that the TA is actually administering the test, not the larger window. The TA should go through each question with the needs of the student in mind. There are going to be manipulatives that are needed. There may need to be answer choices that are produced for a communication board or cut or whatever the student normally does in the classroom. These are all secure, so the school test coordinator must collect all of this back and have this secured in their secure location at the school. Any materials or manipulatives that are needed should be collected. The school test coordinator should really have a big part in helping a TA ensure this is ready. And any questions about allowable materials or manipulatives should be emailed to us at assessment@la.gov. Another administrative document for Lead Connect that is required are the reference materials. There will be a set of math reference materials and a set of ELA reference materials and writing stimuli. These are secure documents. There is a paper copy of everything in these sets of materials for each item. There are also materials for all of the constructed response items. This is a required document along with the directions for test administration when administering Lead Connect. Again, school task coordinators must arrange time up to 2 weeks prior to review these materials. So again, they are reviewing the directions for test administration, the reference materials, and the writing stimuli. There is also a document that is called the Procedures for Assessing Students Who Are Blind, Deaf, or Deafblind. This is also secure and will only be given to those test administrators who have a student that falls under this category. So again, they should review this as well in conjunction with those other documents. Any strategies that they will use during the test are located in here. There's also appendices that talk about how to access our oral response, foundational reading items, and things like that. So again, this document is just for teachers administering to students who are blind, deaf, or deafblind, and they still need to use the DTA and the reference materials and the writing stimuli. The student response check is very fast. It is located in Insight. It is 3 questions, and it helps ensure the test administrator on what communication mode is used by the student. This should only be used if the TA does not know this. So if the teacher of the student is administering the test, they're probably not going to give the student response check because they know the way the student communicates all day, every day. This would be for an instance where someone is administering the test to the student who is not familiar with them, is not their teacher. So again, it is in Insight under Lead Connect online tools training. You can click student response check. It asks 3 questions and it will help the TA understand how the student responds. All right, so for Law 1, we're moving on to Law 1, which is just science, and it is just grades 4, 8, and 11, and it is on paper. So keep in mind, we just released science standards, new science standards, and so we had to do new science connectors, and we will have a new science assessment. But this year, we still have our old assessment, Law 1. It is on paper, again, for grades 4, 8, and 11. One of the differences between Law 1 and Lead Connect is here, a student must have attempted at least 5 tasks within the content area. So for Lead Connect, at least 4 tasks. For Law 1, 5 tasks before a teacher can close the test. But again, they should attempt at least 5. If the student is unresponsive, then no scores would be marked on the response document for the remaining items. So it would just be submitted to the school task coordinator and completed. Just like we talked about for fall high school, accountability coding will be done at the end of the window as well for Lead Connect. And just like we talked for high school, this is the technical assistance protocol that we use as well. Located here are just some Lead Connect resources, so feel free to send these to those involved with Lead Connect and reference those as needed. I would definitely highlight the parent guides for Lead Connect to be sent home to parents if they haven't been already, just to give them an idea of what's coming up. All right, moving on to ELPT. The key dates are located on this slide. Our online tools training is available. User management in TIDE and student management in TIDE is available currently. The window is the same as Lead Connect in Law 1, which is February 4th through March 15th. As a reminder, again, the secure browser must be installed by December 31st. So please make sure your technology crew is handling that prior to the winter break. The ELPT assessment guide and TIDE user guide have been updated for this school year, and those are hyperlinked here. A basic overview of the administration systems for ELPT is located here. So if you have new test coordinators, this would be helpful for them. So we have TIDE, which is the system where students and users are managed. It also helps you monitor completion status of tests. Then we have the operational test administration. So this is used by your test administrators to create section IDs, administer the test, monitor kids' progress. Then we have our reporting system, ORS. This is used to view and download reports. And then we have the data entry interface, which is used by TAs to enter responses for students using accommodated forms of ELPT. So all of these are linked from the ELPT portal. So if you go to the ELPT portal, all of these will be listed there. You don't need to remember 4 different links. It is all located in one place. Then we have some administration documents for ELPT that are located here. So I should also remind you that our English language proficiency test and our screener are located in a different platform. We have a different vendor for this assessment. So some of these things are different because it is not in Insight, it is not using eDirect, it is a different system. So for our administration documents, there's a TIDE user guide, a TA user guide, and the TAM, the Test Administration Manual. So these documents should definitely be reviewed with your test coordinators to make sure you have a successful administration of ELPT. We also have the Reporting System Manual, the DEI Manual, and our Accessibility and Accommodations Manual specific to ELPT. There are also some technology documents in case your technology team at the district or school level need these. So again, there's the installation manual for the browser, requirements for the browser, and requirements for the testing. So these are not new, but should definitely be referenced in the event you are installing the browser on more computers. You just got a new batch of computers at a school or something like that. But these things have been the same since previous years. For test setup for ELPT, a few things to highlight. The first one is ELPT is K-12, and it is a computer-based assessment in the AIR portal. This is only for students identified as an English learner. All of the test administrators, students, and accommodations are managed through this TIDE portal. You, along with your school test coordinators, have permission to add students in TIDE. Your students will be able to use the same headsets with microphones they used last year. They can also use the same devices they used last year. Your tech team should be reminded to enable pop-up windows and microphone settings on computers before you screen and before you test. The TIDE user guide has details about the user roles and permissions within AIR. This table indicates which users can access specific features and tasks within the system, and then directions for each of these are in the user guide. The ELPT tab in the portal will be used by test coordinators and administrators to access all of the administrative systems and documents. This tab has links to TIDE, the operational test administration site, and the reporting system. This is the TIDE portal for test management by district test coordinators and school test coordinators. The orange section, preparing for testing, is used for test setup and ordering additional materials. The green one in the middle, administering tests, is used to access participation reports and manage appeals. And the blue section, the last one, which is called after testing, will be used to enter non-participation codes. To begin the setup for ELPT, users who will manage or administer this must be added in TIDE. So all your TAs need to be added before they can start administering a test. English learners that have already been uploaded are in the system. So we have done that for you. If you need to add a student, you or the school test coordinator can add students into TIDE one at a time or by a batch upload. If you go under the preparing to test section, the students task menu on the dashboard, you'll select add students. Then this form will appear. And so in the student demographics panel, you'll enter the demographic information. Definitely refer to the TIDE user guide if you need assistance using this. Also, accommodations will be entered on this page. Additional material orders such as Braille kits or additional kindergarten and first grade writing supplements can be ordered through the ordering drop-down menu. Additional packaging material can only be ordered by calling the ELPT help desk. Rosters can be added or uploaded to organize students into groups through the preparing for test section, but they're not required for testing. So test sessions for ELPT are created in the moment in the testing room right before testing, and the session ID displayed on the test administrator screen will be the ID the students type into the computer. So you are not creating test sessions. There are no test tickets. It is on the fly test session creation. If you choose to provide a test ticket to students, it will only have the students listed. So if you, your kindergarten and first grade students, you might want to have this printed if they don't know they're listed. I would imagine your upper grade students will already know this. So if you want to print this for them, you can. But again, the login information will be given to the test administrator instantly in the room when they select to begin the test. When they create a test session, it will be created less than 20 minutes before starting the test. If it's created before or earlier than 20 minutes prior, it will time out. So it must be done in the room less than 20 minutes before they are ready to begin. The test administrators will go to the operational test administration site and select the grade band that they're administering. A session ID will automatically be generated for the test and display on their screen, and the TA will provide that ID for them to log in. So they can write this on the board, read it aloud. All students will enter this in there, and it will instantly connect all of those students to that test administrator, and a test session will be created. So there is no work regarding test setup for ELPT. Students will access ELPT by clicking on the portal, and again, they'll log in, they'll put their first name, they're listed, and that ID number before they begin. Once they do this, the test administrator will approve all of the students that start popping up on their screen so that they can start the test. Once this happens, students will be able to do an audio and recording check to ensure technology is properly working. In the normal flow of a test opportunity, a student takes the test in the system and then submits it. Then the system sends the test for scoring, and then the reporting system provides test scores. An appeal is a way of interrupting this process. So this would be if a student needs to, a test coordinator needs to invalidate a test because of a testing violation. So they would submit an appeal to stop this process from happening, meaning it is going to be voided, so it does not need to be scored. They are created in TIDE, so there's an administering test section, and in order to create an appeal, they will select the kind of appeal, search for the test, and then place the check mark and enter the reason for the appeal. District coordinators may also create new appeals in TIDE by using the upload appeals function. This is an overview of the status of appeals you'll see. They can be viewed in the View, Approve, Export Appeals page of the Administering Test section in TIDE. All students who are entered in TIDE and did not take the ELPT must have a code assigned to them explaining why they did not take the test. So non-participation codes, similar to how do we accountability code for other assessments, are in TIDE and they're on this table. And you will do this at the end of the window. Within the non-participation code screen, the student information panel gives the demographics for the student. The student's available tests and special codes are listed in the special codes panel. To edit the student's non-participation code from the drop-down list in the special codes panel, you will select the special code for each test and then click Save. There are training modules for ELPT available in the portal. They are narrated PowerPoints that provide explanations on how to use the different systems. So again, if you have new test coordinators that have been in this process, I would highly recommend they do these as well. This is the technical assistance protocol we have for this test, but note that the contact information for customer service is different because we have a different vendor. Their hours are located here, phone number, email, and they also have an online chat. We have a few LEAP 360 updates for you all. So the first thing is teacher access is live for all interim assessments. That link is located in our interim quick start guide along with the usernames and passwords. Also, the reports listed here are available for all interim Form 1 and all high school interim assessments. As we look to plan for next school year, 2019-2020, we are going to continue to provide LEAP 360 at no cost to school systems next year. We wanted you all to know this ahead of time as you all are planning and also preparing budgets. So we wanted to let you know it will be at no cost. Just like this year, districts will be required to sign an MOU, and we will give that information in January for districts to begin that process. We have a quick update. This applies to you. December 3rd is when the list of the sample students in each school will become available, and test coordinators will log into MyNAEP to review these. In early December, the NAEP representative for Louisiana will be contacting the school test coordinators to schedule 2 phone calls. The first one is a prepare for assessment call, and the second one will be a pre-assessment review call. The activities listed on the slide must be completed before the school test coordinator has the pre-assessment review call. And just a few reminders across all assessments. I wanted to remind you that we have these 2 wonderful documents that were made because of your feedback last year. And we have 2 versions of them. We have these at-a-glance documents that are basically a one-pager of the most important things you all look for all the time. One is structured by grade band, and one is structured by content area. So these are on our assessment library page. They have been updated to reflect the few changes we have for this school year, but again, they are still available and definitely a great resource for you and your team as you are answering tons of questions all the time, and this is a one-stop shop for you all. We also have our parent guides for LEAP 2025, ELPT, LEAP Connect, and LEAP 360 that have been updated. We have our translated versions available as well in Spanish, Arabic, and Vietnamese. These should be shared with families at appropriate times for school. And as a reminder, our school system planning call dates are located here along with our collaboration dates. For January and February collaborations, they will open for registration on the 7th and close the 25th. The collaborations this year, as you've noticed, will begin with a general session that frames the priorities for the year. And so this time, the sessions will focus on 2 areas: supporting implementation of redesign plans for this school year, and then planning for next school year. These are the dates and locations for our supervisor and principal collaborations at the beginning of next year. The location for February 5th has changed, so it is now in Ruston. And then the Lake Charles location had a date change, so it is now February 7th. The morning will be from 8 to 12 with supervisors, and the afternoon will be from 12 to 4 with principals. Again, if you are new to the assessment and accountability team or have someone coming on board, the DTC and accountability contact update form must be submitted from your superintendent's email to assessment@la.gov. The 4 people that will have access to systems will be your DTC, backup DTC, accountability contacts and backup accountability contacts. So it is super important that this form comes to us within the first 15 days of this person being appointed to the role so that we can get them in the systems and communication be sent to them as well. As a reminder, our assessments customer service one-pager is located in the assessment library. Again, this was created based on your feedback, so we have a one-page document of all emails, phone numbers, and contact hours for our assessment. As always, we will have our sections in our weekly newsletter sent to you all every Tuesday at 1 o'clock. You know, we have a call at 1 p.m. Our assessment and accountability libraries are constantly being updated with information and resources for you all, and feel free to call and email us at any time for questions. A couple next steps for you would be to complete the test security and test administration for ELPT and Leap Connect training, and then our high school window ends December 14th, and it is super important that districts install the secure browser for ELPT before December 31st. We will not have office hours on Christmas or New Year's Day, so I hope you all enjoy your time off. This presentation is already in the assessment library, so feel free to download that and use it as you need. Thank you so much for joining. Have a great day.